Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Gabriel Knight 2, The Beast Within, blind. Now, I have looked around for the solution to the bug, and I didn't find anything, but then when I was replaying this, I walked around a little bit, clicked on a couple of those displays, and it didn't actually happen again, at least not immediately, so maybe I can somehow get through this area. I made a save here, so it'll be quicker, even if it does crash. If it does crash, I will try to sort of edit it in a way that it explores all of the area, and hopefully I can get through it this way. So let's start by reading the displays here.
July 3rd, 1863. Elizabeth, you can have no idea, dear cousin, how happy you made me. The hours recently passed with you in the railway carriage I consider among the happiest in my life. Never will their memory fade. You gave me permission to visit you at Ischl. If the time comes for this ardent hope to be fulfilled, I shall be of all men upon earth the most blessed. The feelings of sincere love and reverence and faithful attachment to you, which I cherished in my heart even as a boy, makes me imagine heaven upon earth and will be extinguished by death alone. I beg you with all my heart to forgive the contents of this letter, but I could not help myself. Ludwig. Elizabeth frequently gave Ludwig advice on royal conduct, hoping to protect him from unfavorable public opinion. March 1st, 1865. My dearest Eagle, you have not written me in a few months. I have missed you. I often try to imagine what you are doing. I hear tales that you have been on retreat and have not been seen in Munich for some time. I suspect it is this new friend you wrote up so mysteriously that takes you away from home. I hope you are enjoying yourself, my beloved, but I beg you to caution. The people need to see you at the throne. I also hesitate to suggest that what your officials do in your absence may not always be in your own best interest. You have always been a true king, but you must let the people see you to ensure that they don't forget that. E. Your dove.
Well, it would be good if it gave me some context before I started reading his actual private correspondence.
Ludwig's friends were concerned for his mental state long before his arrest. June 14th, 1878. My beloved Eagle, in your last letter you spoke so movingly of your torment that I was moved to tears. What is this torment? Why won't you confess to me what is truly troubling you? You must know that I would never despise you, no matter how horrible you believe your sins to be. Please do not write such barbs to my heart by even suggesting such things. If you do not wish to confess to me, at least tell me how I can aid you. I am always your true one, your dove. In this letter, dated November 1886, Elizabeth of Austria thanks Bishop Frank for his assistance in helping her fulfill Ludwig's last wishes. She writes that she knows it was an unusual request, but she believes Ludwig had reasons of his own for wishing it to be done. She hopes that his spirit finds peace at last. No further reference to this letter has ever been found. One can only speculate what the last wishes of a cornered and embattled Ludwig might have been. What were his last wishes? This place is giving me more questions than answers.
Well, maybe wait until I finish exploring all of it. That would probably help with some of your questions.
They certainly make an incredible looking couple. They certainly make an incredible looking couple. They certainly make an incredible looking couple. She's beautiful. Elizabeth of Austria. of Ludwig's few close friends was Empress Elizabeth of Austria. She was a distant cousin of the boy Prince, and he saw her often growing up. Graceful and beautiful, Elizabeth seemed to represent the feminine ideal to the younger Ludwig. Their friendship continued after her marriage, mainly by correspondence. She remained a source of stability for Ludwig throughout his life. In keeping with Ludwig's love of romance and drama, he called her the Dove, and he to her was the Eagle. Ludwig is Prince Charming. He played the part well.
The last days.
June 7th, 1886. A group of men arrive at Neuschwanstein Castle demanding to take the king in custody. With them is Dr. Guden, the doctor who had been in charge of Otto, the king's mentally ill brother. The men have an order for the king's arrest on the grounds of insanity. They are refused admittance by a brave group of farmers and local soldiers who have come to Ludwig's aid. They are forced to retreat to nearby Hohenschwangau. This is the first Ludwig hears of the conspiracy. Ludwig composes a pamphlet explaining the subversive acts of the conspirators and eloquently pleading with his people for aid. The pamphlet is smuggled out of Neuschwanstein and printed, but the pamphlets are seized before they can be distributed. June 7th, 1886. June 12th, 1886. Ludwig knows the conspirators will return. He despairs. He asks his servant for the keys to the tower. The servant, fearing the king intends suicide, says the key is lost. Unbeknownst to Ludwig, the conspirators arrive at the castle. This time, there is no one to stop them. Ludwig is lured from his bedroom to the entry hall of Neuschwanstein on pretense. There, he is taken into custody. Ludwig is taken by carriage from Neuschwanstein to Berg, where his brother Otto had long been imprisoned. This is a great blow to the king's state of mind. While on the way, the group stops at Seeshaupt to change horses. Ludwig asks to see the postmistress, Frau Vogel. She brings him a glass of water and he says something to her. She never reveals these last words to anyone. June 13th, 1886. At Berg, Ludwig seems cooperative and coherent. Dr. Guden writes to the government that he has Ludwig well under control. The two men go out for a walk, and Dr. Guden is so confident he dismisses the guards. When Ludwig and the doctor do not return after several hours, a search is undertaken. The bodies of the two men are found in the lake, drowned. Circumstances unknown. June 18th, 1886. Ludwig's funeral procession marches through the streets of Munich, followed by enormous crowds of mourners. The service is held at a packed St. Michael's church. Lightning strikes the church during the service, but no one is harmed. Ludwig's body is entombed in the Wittelsbach crypt at St. Michael's. His heart is placed in an urn in the pilgrimage chapel at Altading in the Wittelsbach tradition. The urn is shown to the right. His heart is in an urn. How bizarre.
That's not that bizarre. In fact, it has been quite common in history for important people, even disregarding saints, because with saints it happened all the time that they were literally chopped to pieces for relics, but with important people to have like their heart removed and sometimes entombed in a different place than the rest of their body, and then reunited with their body. There were a lot of shenanigans involved with famous people having parts chopped off to have things done with them. So that's not that weird, to be honest, from my perspective.
Oh my God, that's the slave from my dream. Maybe Mrs. Smith will know what my dream meant. I have to ask someone. This thing is getting too weird. Ludwig embarking on his sleigh. The midnight sleigh rides. Ludwig went on long sleigh rides in the middle of the night, particularly in his later years. It is said that he suffered from insomnia, headaches, and toothaches, and the rides soothed his restlessness. The sight of the king's grand sleigh speeding through the countryside of the Alps often startled the peasants and became a superstitious omen of ill fortune. I can see why. But what was he doing out there at night? Ludwig's death mask. Wow. I have no idea what that says. Looks old, though.
Is that it? Oh. Where even is this particular display? I guess it's this table over here.
December 14th, 1881, Linderhof. Order another work by Jennings on the occult. Write urgently to Klug saying that I insist that the stoppages by the bank cease. I want it, and therefore it must be done. Write very urgently. He must succeed at once and then must report to me urgently. If I give orders to clear my room, doing so must not be postponed as it happened. Pencils must be pointed without special orders. The day after tomorrow, 1,000 marks. How is Louis now? I want to know whether he looks unhappy. How often have I said that the coffee must not come up boiling hot, so that it can only be drunk after standing an hour? If any more correspondence come from Louis, they are to be burnt immediately, but I am to be informed of their arrival.
It would be great if they gave me some context of what even is this about. Like, some of it is his his orders to his servants, but some greater context would be nice.
These are actual notes from Ludwig to his servants. They go far in showing the king's state of mind. They were smuggled out and used as evidence in compiling the order for Ludwig's arrest. December 18th, 1881, Linderhof. Every day get up earlier for certain. See to that very particularly. Write it down. Remember that when the great friend arrives at Neuschwanstein, we retire to the hall. We are not to be disturbed. I will not tolerate interference or insubordination. I don't have anything to say to her at the moment.
Okay, I can't go this way, so I assume that's it for now. I will save because I'm worried about the bug returning. She did briefly mention that I should talk to the lady about the dream. Oh, she's not here.
Herr Huber?
Yes?
Are the Smiths in their room?
Ja, I believe so.
Could you ask them to come down, please?
Ja, natürlich.
Now you just tell Merle what's going on.
I had a dream last night. I didn't remember it at first, but I saw something today at one of the museums.
What was the dream?
I was being chased in the woods by wolves. And I saw a sleigh. Ludwig was inside. He pulled me up
and I thought I was safe. But then he turned into a wolf.
So what do you think, Mother?
A dream of rescue is a spiritual guide dream. The High Priestess in Gabriel's cards must be linked to Ludwig somehow.
What do the wolves represent?
I'm a psychic, dear, not Freud. But the warning I got was about the black wolf, wasn't it? And the wolves in the dream. It must be the same danger.
It's so frustrating. The more I find out, the more questions I have.
Why don't you try a little communicating of your own? Ludwig's the link. Appeal to him. The answers may not come right away, but at least you'll give the guide something specific to say the next time she contacts you.
Isn't there any way that you could, do a psychic reading on Ludwig or something?
To tell you the truth, I've been trying all day to make contact, but I only feel great despair. Ludwig's soul is not at peace.
I'd better go.
Anytime you need us, stop by.
And be careful now.
Thanks.
I don't have anything else to say to the Smiths right now. I don't have anything to say to Herr Huber at the moment.
Okay, so to be honest, I am somewhat confused. I guess I must have missed something at either the castle or the museum, because they are still highlighted.
Guess they're closed.
I wonder what kind of flowers these are. Those look better. Wolfgang Ritter, 10 May 1923 to 25 June 1993.
Hi, Gerda. I'm back. Good. Gerda?
Yes?
Have you heard from Gabriel at all?
No, Grace, I'm sorry.
Never mind.
I don't have anything to ask Gerda right now. I don't have anything to ask Gerda right now.
Yeah, I must have missed something.
At least I have the car keys now.
I'll go to the museum first because it seems smaller. It highlights all three of the locations, so clearly I'm not done yet.
I don't have anything to say to her at the moment.
It's weird to me that I cannot go this way.
July
I have
Elizabeth
read all of this.
Ludwig's in this letter dated November. No. They certainly make. She's beautiful. One of Lu.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I missed the entirety of this somehow. That seems highly relevant. Ludwig's diary. Yeah, okay, that also seems highly relevant.
Even after Wagner's death, Ludwig still showed signs of obsession with the composer. This letter, written in 1882 by Ludwig to the conductor of the Munich Opera, instructs the conductor to make preparations for a new Wagner opera. The conductor went to see the king as instructed. When he arrived, Ludwig was ill and refused to see him. Nothing further was ever heard of this mysterious new opera. Was it a figment of an ill man's desperate wishes? Ludwig is offered a crown of laurels by the genius of immortal fame. 26 July 1874. By the power of the lily, we shall have the strength to resist all temptations throughout the whole year. 26 July 1875. Solemn oath before the picture of the great king. Refrain for 3 months from all excitement. This oath has its binding power as well as its potency by de par le Roy, LNR, DPLR. What excitement? I need to see more of that diary.
I understand very little of what this is trying to imply.
Ludwig and Wagner. Ludwig loved the opera of his contemporary Richard Wagner. He helped support Wagner's music through much of his life. Ludwig considered Wagner a close friend, often calling him the great friend. Wagner encouraged this infatuation, some believe, for personal gain. Typical artist. He looks so regal. Why would he give up all of this pageantry and become a recluse? Ludwig, Grand Master of the Knights of St. George. There's gotta be a connection between all this St. George stuff and Gabriel. Ludwig is Grand Master of the Knights of St. George. The Knights of St. George was an aristocratic society dedicated to the acts of chivalry. Ludwig loved the medieval pageantry of the order in his early years, before his increasing reclusiveness drove him to abandon public appearances. Looks like it weighs a ton. Ludwig's Grand Master wardrobe from the Knights of St. George. Richard Wagner. The original diary is kept in the Royal Archives. A few entries are shown on the opposite wall. I've got to see that diary. Ludwig's diary. Ludwig kept a diary from 1869 when he was 24 years old until his death. The diary provides a fascinating look into the mind of this tormented man. The original diary is kept in the Royal Archives. A few entries are shown on the opposite wall. Richard Wagner.
Okay, is that it? I have watched all of this.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Ludwigs Tagebuch im Museum?
Ja,
Wo kann ich Ludwigs Tagebuch hier anschauen?
die Tagebücher sind ganz persönlich. Die sind in den königlichen Archiven. Niemand darf die lesen.
Aber
Nein, niemand darf die lesen.
danke. Im Museum ist ein Brief von Ludwig über eine neue Wagner-Oper.
Ja, ja, ich kenne diesen Brief.
Wo kann ich mehr von dieser Wagner-Oper sehen?
Ja, ich weiß nichts über Wagner. Das hier ist kein Wagner-Museum.
Ja, ich weiß.
In Bayreuth befindet sich ja Wagner Museum. Versuchen Sie es halt doch, ne?
Bayreuth. Danke.
Okay, so she said this is not a museum about Wagner and she doesn't know anything about his operas, but there is a Wagner museum somewhere else, which I assume, she has given me the address, so I assume I will be able to go there now. Indeed. Wagner Museum.
Grüß Gott.
Guten Tag. Ist das die Wagner Museum?
Yeah, you're an American, aren't you? I'm afraid the house is closed this time of year. It will be open next month.
Crap.
You are interested in Wagner?
Very interested. Very recently very interested.
Sure. Most of the house is closed for cleaning, but a few rooms are open. I shouldn't let you probably, but if it is only you, you are alone, aren't you?
Endlessly.
Come in and look around.
That's very generous. What do I owe you?
Georg Immerding. It's only a few displays. Besides, I wouldn't be much of a shining knight if I charged you.
Thanks, Georg. My name is Grace.
Hello. Have a good time.
Wagner's piano. On this piano, the maestro composed his later operas, including The Ring. Franz Liszt, composer and Cosima Wagner's father. Richard Wagner. Opera costumes. This must be a model of Wagner's own theater, here in Bayreuth. These look like production designs. I don't see anything that looks like those wolf paintings in Neuschwanstein, though. These look like production designs. I don't see anything that looks like those wolf paintings in Neuschwanstein, though. The great patron himself. Ludwig as the classical Greek hero. A portrait given as a gift from Ludwig to Wagner. June 10th, 1881, Munich residence. Great friend. I am writing to you in the middle of the night. My blood is pounding too wildly for sleep. Tonight's performance, how can I describe it? I am unsure whether to be terrified or thrilled. Perhaps I even feel hopeful. If it is hope, you have given it to me, my friend, for the first time in years. We must speak. Something happened during the music tonight, but I must have your absolute confidence. As you love me, come at once. Your devoted king, Ludwig. July 1882. Great and beloved king, Monsieur Beaujolais and I have finished the diagram. We checked the figures many times and Monsieur is confident that it will work. 8 identical fixtures are to be made from the diagram and placed in the theater exactly as specified. I'm sending the diagram with your courier. Be full of hope and have courage. All will be well. Your own, Wagner.
It's, again, interesting to me. I couldn't tell because I don't speak German, but I'm just seeing here, is this an accurate translation? Because, for example, here it says something which I don't understand, but then it says, Mein Geleiter König. So, it would be, it addresses the king. It says my, I assume, beloved or whatever king, and it's absent here. So how accurate is this translation compared to this German original? And to be honest, also, alles wird gut werden is all will be well, but this is like, it doesn't have like a preface to his signature, I don't think, on this original, as opposed to this.
Ludwig's death mask. An old sofa. The death of Wagner. On Ash Wednesday, 1883, Wagner suffered a heart attack in a Venetian gondola on the way to Saint Michel. His wife and the gondolier carried him into a church where he regained consciousness. Wagner died 4 days later on this sofa. Wagner's death mask. Wagner's desk, exactly as it was on the day he died. It's a letter from a Monsieur Beaujolais, dated September 1881. Looks like he's discussing acoustics and sound waves, and crystals. Wasn't Wagner's Bayreuth Theater already built? Why would Wagner be worrying about acoustics? It looks like an architectural drawing of a theater, the Wittelsbacher Theater, München. Every square inch is measured. It looks like every...
Can I make a note of that? It seems like something I could possibly need for the future. Apparently I can't. Okay, this goes in circles. Am I done? Let's try again just to be sure. No, I didn't want to do that actually. Okay, so it does loop to here. I think that's it.
Grace.
What are you doing here if the museum is closed?
They always like to have a caretaker here. It's a good job for me. I can soak in the atmosphere of the maestro while I compose.
What are you composing?
This? Oh, a new arrangement. One of Wagner's pieces.
For the Bayreuth Opera?
No. I am only a student at the university. I study music, composition, conducting.
Is there much of a call for conductors in Europe?
Ask my brother. He is the conductor for the Munich Opera.
Well, that's convenient. Does that mean you get free opera tickets?
Yes. I get a week's pass to the Opernfestspiele, the opera festival in Munich. It starts in a few months.
Hope I'm still around to see it.
Come with me if you like. If you're still around, I can go backstage and all sorts of things.
I'd love that. If I'm still in Germany, I'll call you, all right?
Yeah, good.
Tell me about Wagner.
He was a character. He spent most of his life trying to convince rich patrons to subsidize his work. Unfortunately, he had expensive tastes. You see, he believed that someone of his genius deserved to live well. Can't argue with that.
But Ludwig II supported him, didn't he?
Yeah, sure, but Ludwig came along very late in Wagner's life. By then, he had already been run out of Venice and most major cities because of debt. Ludwig saved him. And the music. Best thing Ludwig ever did.
Do you know anything about that letter from Wagner to Ludwig in the display case? The one about the diagram?
No. Some sort of equipment for Ludwig's theater. But I don't know why Wagner would have cared about this. If he was worried about any theater, you would think it would have been his own theater, here, in Bayreuth.
Have you ever heard about the letter that Ludwig wrote to the Munich conductor in 1882 telling him to prepare for a new Wagner opera?
You're full of surprises, for an American.
What do you know about it?
No one knows anything about it. It's like a treasure map, you know? It's probably a complete fairy tale, but it does make you wonder.
You have no idea what it could have referred to? Maybe something that Wagner was working on with Ludwig?
If there was, there's no trace of it. Except perhaps in the dreams of unemployed music students.
Have you ever heard about the wolf panels in the Singers' Hall at Neuschwanstein?
Did my brother send you here?
No.
Probably not. It's only the letter to the conductor, the wolf panels. My brother thinks I am crazy because of all my theories.
What theories?
This is Quatsch. If there was a lost opera, a lost Wagner opera, and if one could find it, to a conductor, this would be like finding King Tut's tomb. But people have looked for it before. If it ever existed, it is gone forever. My brother says I waste my time even thinking about it.
I'm curious. Is there any other information that points to the lost opera besides Ludwig's letter and the wolf panels?
It's nothing. I'm not even supposed to have seen it. You see, my brother says that Wagner was too egotistical to have produced a lost opera. If he was working on something new, every person in Bayreuth would have heard about it. On the other hand, it was in Ludwig's character to have wanted a private opera.
But it wouldn't have been private. Ludwig's letter shows he intended it to be played in Munich.
Yes, but that it would get so far without Wagner telling others? Why keep it a secret?
Maybe there was a very good reason for secrecy.
For example?
Like... Never mind.
I don't have anything to ask Georg about at the moment.
Okay, so I'm missing stuff all over somehow. Although that's not entirely... it's not entirely... what's the word? Not entirely... I'm lacking an English word. It doesn't necessarily tell me I'm missing something right now, because those are things I have to do until the end of the chapter. They might not even exist at this particular moment.
Guess they're closed.
I don't have anything to say to Herr Huber at the moment.
You know what? I will call the historian guy, because he was supposed to research Ludwig for me, and I think it was a couple of days ago at this point.
I don't have anything to ask Gerda right now.
Also, maybe I can do some of my own research if I just... like on Wagner?
I wish I could read these biographies of Ludwig. Wait a minute. Ludwig II, fairy tale king of Bavaria. I didn't see this before. Yep, English. Huh.
Ludwig remained throughout his life both very bright and very naive. He was an introvert who seemed to be constantly out of sync with traditional views of rulership, money, and human relationships. The world ever failed to match his ideals. Perhaps this was a fault of his sheltered upbringing as future king. He never was introduced to the real world, and the real world failed to interest him as an adult. In his youth, Ludwig was in fine physical condition and loved to hike alone in the Alps and ride horses. He had a hunting lodge, Schachen, specifically for this purpose. Unfortunately, in 1872, a rather traumatic hunting accident befell the king at Schachen, and his leg was cruelly damaged. He never fully recovered from this incident, and his hiking and riding ceased. His physical health deteriorated from that time on, and explains why he looked so unhealthy in later years. A hunting accident?
And a hunting lodge as well.
Other than his long-standing friendship with the Empress Elizabeth of Austria and with his mother, the relationships Ludwig attempted with others were nearly always a disappointment for him and a bewilderment for his partners. He would become obsessed with someone, a singer, an artist, a nobleman or a peasant, and would bombard them with gifts, praise, and favors. When they would fail to return the depths of rapturous passion he required, the singular adoration and humble obedience he expected, he would grow disappointed and cut himself off from them. The objects of his interest were occasionally women, usually ones he fell in love with after seeing them in idealized roles on the stage, but they were more often young men who fit his fantasies of the heroic sagas like Lohengrin and Parsifal that he so loved. A good example of the king's obsessive behavior in relationships is the following letter from the Königlich Bayerische Archives, which this author was privileged to access. It is dated 1864, and it was written by Ludwig's manservant, Paul, to a friend. The king has been in high mood these days. The reason, of course, is a new interest. Thursday last, the king attended a performance of Lohengrin in the Wittelsbacher Theater. He came back in a fever, demanding that a man be found. The man, it was gathered, had been sitting in a box across from Ludwig and had drawn the king's attention by his beauty and his deep emotional response to the performance. The king declared that here at last is a sensitive soul. The man was tracked down and brought in for an audience. Upon my word, never have I seen any mind so in line with His Majesty's own. They discussed Wagner and France and Byron and all manner of things until long past dawn. The young man, beautiful indeed to look upon, met the king's enthusiasm and knowledge bit for bit. His Majesty has been in the thick of it ever since, and while I welcome his good temper, I grow tired of fetching letters back and forth to Louis, so called by His Majesty, that should tell you who the young man looks like, at all hours of the night. This author has not been able to learn much about Louis, but he was known to have been a seemingly high-bred foreigner, and he was involved with Ludwig as late as 1880, when he fell into disfavor. The king, especially later in life, felt a great deal of guilt about his sensual nature. His diaries are full of repentant entries begging God for forgiveness and swearing to remain pure. In many of the diary entries, he swears to abstain from sexual relations. The number of these oath entries indicate that Ludwig was not very successful in resisting temptation, yet it is also clear that Ludwig was a God-fearing man and that, though his flesh might occasionally fall, he never surrendered his heart and his conscience to sin.
Okay, I guess that's it for now.
There's nothing else on werewolves in the occult section. Nothing else I can use in the biography section. I'm not sure what other case books would be relevant.
I'll try calling the guy, although if it doesn't work...
Hello?
Hi, Professor Barkley. It's Grace.
Oh, good. I have a name for you. It's Herr Josef Dahlmeier, and he specializes in Bavarian history, and I think he's somewhere near you are.
Herr Josef Dahlmeier. Great, got a number?
Yeah, I do. It's 4982-555-2234.
Thanks a lot. Sorry about the bother.
That's no bother. When are you coming back to school, Gracie?
When I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Well, be good.
Do we have any notes to write?
I'll write to Gabriel, soon as I have enough info to blow his little investigation out of the water.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Professor Barkley's Ludwig contact.
Okay, let's call this guy.
Hallo?
Hallo, sind Sie Herr Josef Dahlmeier?
Yeah, you must be Grace Nakimura, the American history student.
Yes.
I hear you're interested in Ludwig II.
Very.
Good. There's something I want to show you. Drive to Berg on Starnberger See. Meet me at the Memorial Chapel.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, wait. Was there anything you wanted me to look into before we meet?
Well, I was hoping you knew something about someone called the Black Wolf. He was a contemporary of Ludwig's. He lived in Prussia, I think, and he was well connected.
Never heard of him, but I'll check. See you there.
Thanks. Bye.
What? That was dumb. I have his name, and he was a baron of some kind. Why use the moniker? He should have said, look into the information of the Baron so-and-so from the so-and-so, who was also supposedly known as the Black Wolf, and also supposedly tried for being a werewolf.
Who should I call? I don't have anything to ask Gerda right now.
Okay,
At least I
assume I can go to meet him, right? He gave me the address. Indeed. Okay. But I will do it next time, because this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to pause it here, although I should really save, to be honest. Can I save from here? I can't. You know what? Let me... Okay, I'll save in a second. For now, that's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!